What's going on, Dayton sports fans? I'm Jake, the Gem City Fire Breather. You might have seen me on TwitX. I call it TwitX. It's Twitter or it's X. I just call it TwitX because that's funny. But anyway, I am the Gem City Fire Breather that some of you may have seen doing various memeing and shitposting, particularly related to the Dayton Dragons, whose season sadly came to an end last night, losing in the playoffs to those bastards up north. So, I wanted to make a video about some thoughts I had about Dragons and just about, sports in Dayton in general. I had kind of hinted at a podcast about the Dragons. Sorry about that, my phone's in the little compartment there. I'm going to mount for it in the truck here. I kind of hinted at a Dragons-related podcast, and I might still do that, but I kind of just wanted to make this video to get some thoughts out there that I've had about sports in general in Dayton, and just what it's like here. I'm not in Dayton right now. I'm on the road. I actually just entered Indiana, like I said before. So let me fix this. Yeah, a little bit better. Also, I've got my Blue Jackets jersey on because today, September 13th, the Blue Jackets have their first on-ice action since the tragic passing of Johnny Gaudreau, and I thought I would wear my jersey to work in solidarity with the team. So, yeah, I was originally making a Dragons video, but this is just the look for today. Stay strong, fifth line. Hoping to get to some games this year. But anyway, let's get back on topic here. So as mentioned, the Dragons season sadly came to an end last night after losing the lead and losing Game 2 of the best of 3 Eastern Division Championship to those annoying Lake County dudes. So let's talk about, first of all, let's get out of the way the positives of, we had a playoff team in Dayton. It was a fun time. We had some great players that stayed around to help us get to the playoffs. It's a shame that we couldn't get any further, but that's just the way the cookie crumbles sometimes. It was great. Vince Harrison Jr. in his first year as the manager gets us to the playoffs for the first time in 7 years. The last time the Dragons made the playoffs, I was not living in Dayton. I'm not native to there. Actually from the area that I'm driving through right now for work. So getting to see a playoff team was a blast, a treat, privilege, and I hope to see it more. But the nature of minor league baseball, sometimes it's rare. So now that we've got that out of the way, let's get to the reason that I wanted to make this video. First of all, let me fix this. I have 2 bottle caps behind my phone, trying to hold it in place in the little compartment on the dash, so where it's pointed there. Let's get into the things that we could see improvements with from the Dragons. On the field stuff completely aside, because that's not something that we can talk to the Dragons and tell them to improve about. That's the players. We'll leave that to them. Let's talk about the game day atmosphere at a Dragons game. This guy's going so slow, I gotta get around him. So, if you had the ability to listen to or even watch the road playoff game that the Dragons played in Lake County, and you also watched or listened to or attended the home playoff game in Dayton, there's probably something you noticed right off the bat. Lake County has what's called energy in their ballpark. They have passion, they have team spirit. Dayton sells tickets. They fill the stadium up, and that's about as far as they think it should go. Case in point, the guy who is at the Lake County Stadium, who's just, I mean, his voice is annoying. It's like putting a cheese grater up to your ear, and I know I have no room to talk because mine's pretty annoying as well, especially when it's coming through a loud diesel engine. I bet you're having fun listening to that. But the guy whose voice sounds like Jay Baruchel on helium, who walks around with a microphone and yells shit into the microphone and gets the stadium pumped up and makes the stadium sound like a baseball stadium and not a funeral parlor. And then you go to Dayton and we have Jim's Bistro, the soup salad sandwich video thing. Like, why? I want to know who came up with that, and I want to know if they were fired. Because that is an embarrassment. I had always talked about, we have this supposed sellout streak. I don't think it's still active. They say it is. I choose not to believe that. But eventually, at some point, they're going to have to either come to terms with the fact that it's not active, or it's just going to actually be not active if it is. And eventually, well, we saw it in the playoffs. Visiting fans will come to our ballpark. And they will see that and some of the other just half-assed between innings stuff that we do. And they'll think, God, is this city just full of morons? Is this city just full of dumbasses? I'm not saying that it's not. There's some dumb people in my town. I will stand by that statement. But, like, soup salad sandwich at a baseball game? Like, are you serious? This is what we're doing. And then it's the same little contest between innings for a t-shirt or whatever. And then in other complete lack of life and energy moments news, there's like a couple of the PA announcers that really just sound like they do not give a shit whatsoever. Like that one lady always just sounds like she's got the card. She'll be 2 pitches into an at bat and be like, oh, now batting for the Dragons, such and such, and Alcazar. And like mispronounce half the team names, and you've been calling them all year. And just completely forget things. There's really only one of the PA guys that actually makes the stadium sound like you're at a professional baseball game. Everything else makes it sound like you're at like a high school golf match or like a funeral. And there's a reason that the like energy that's at like Lake County games, or I've gone to a few other ballparks in the league like Fort Wayne or Great Lakes. There's a reason that when I went to those ballparks, I was just completely taken aback by that stuff, because we just don't do that, and we should. There's got to be some gravitas behind. There's got to be some life. Like, first of all, every Midwest League ballpark that I have gone to, so for reference, other than Dayton, that is Fort Wayne, that is Lake County, that is Great Lakes, and that is West Michigan. I haven't gotten to Lansing yet, and nobody in the West, but those are the ones I've been to. All of them, before the game, when they do the lineups, they read off both teams' starting lineups. The guys in Dayton only do one, because they gotta have the dumb, match this to this game on the scoreboard, or put up the soup salad sandwich garbage that should never have been created, or whatever other promotional, non-promotional bullshit that they put on the scoreboard. Like, that's all well and good, but let's make this sound like you're at a professional baseball game. I mean, for God's sakes, their Facebook page doesn't just say Dayton Dragons. It says Dayton Dragons Professional Baseball Team. As if we're gonna just forget that that's what they are. But with this kind of treatment, eventually we will. Treat it like it's a pro sports game. It starts with getting people that understand how to hype up a ballpark, how to hype up fans, how to hype up players. The Dragons, as far as I can tell, out of the Midwest League and really most ballparks that I have been to in my time going to baseball games and really just going to sporting events in general, they're the only ones that don't do batter walk-up songs or pitcher entrance music. They have the same, 5 songs that they're, I guess, allowed to play so they don't, offend somebody. Come on. Get the boys pumped up. I'm sure if they didn't feel like the Tuesday playoff game at home was a funeral for a loved one, they might have maybe held on to that lead. They might have maybe had something behind them, because I'm sitting there in section 203, I'm looking over at the Dragons dugout. None of them are up on the rail. None of them are getting hyped when their boys are in the lead. And then I look down at the Lake County dugout, and they're going nuts. They fucking want it. They're hyped up. Their team gives a shit. I could go on and on and on about that, but I don't think I need to, and I definitely don't want to. So put some life behind this team. That's where you're going to win championships. Make them feel like they're a professional team. So with that in the rear view, with the on-field and with the other stuff in the rear view, the fact that the team does not run promotions for their ball games because they feel they don't need to, and one could argue that they don't. Let's just assume that the sellout streak stuff is active and it's not just the team inflating their numbers to make themselves sound better. They don't need to have a Thirsty Thursday type night, or they don't need to have a thing like a giveaway at the gate or something like that to get people to come to the ballpark, because the ballpark's going to be full regardless. And I want to kind of use that to segue into something, because there are 2 things to do, sports related, in Dayton in a given year. From April to September, it's the Dragons. And then from, November to early March, it's Dayton basketball, or Wright State basketball if you live outside of town like I do. And then, you got Dayton football in between there, and then I go to Dayton and Wright State baseball games in the early spring, late winter. But aside from those couple little things, it's Dragons or Flyer basketball. And that's what you can do in this town. If you want to go to do something else, you basically have to go to Cincinnati. You basically have to go to Columbus. You basically have to go, if you want to go, you can go to Indianapolis. But if you want to stay in Dayton, there are 2 things. There should be 3. There should be more than 3. And I'll give you an example of why this needs to be a thing. Because last Dragon season, and every season before that I can remember, granted I've only been in Dayton for about 5 years, outside the home plate gates was a place called Block 27. It was their Dayton tap room. Their brewery is in Centerville. They had a tap room there, and then they had the Dayton tap room by the ballpark. And that place during baseball season was jumping. You couldn't get a seat in there most of the time. You had to show up way early to go to get a beer or to get some food at the tap room before the game. And I used to love to pregame there. Well, over this past off season, not this one, but the one that before this past season, that tap room closed its doors. Block 27 consolidated all of its operations in Centerville. Among the reasons why is that the fact that once you get out of Dragon season, no one, and I mean no one, comes downtown for really anything. So how do we solve this? There are many ways that you could. But thinking purely from a sports perspective, why'd you have to come over that close to me, you stupid moron on the interstate? Sorry about that, getting off topic there. To solve this problem from a sports perspective, because that's what we're talking about here, there's one thing that comes to mind. Hockey. there's a spot about, it's either 3 or 4 blocks east of the ballpark. It's a wide open, overgrown, grassy little plot right by the levee along the Mad River. I got on Google Earth. I measured it out with the, you can measure out areas on Google Earth, and then I measured out an area similar in size to it, and I found out that area, why are you going so slow? Why are you going 50 in the interstate? But that area is big enough to hold a building similar in size to Heritage Bank Center in Cincinnati, the home of the Cyclones, and other things. So you could put a building there. It doesn't even have to be that big. It could be smaller. Put a building there that can host hockey, and that can maybe host other events too. Maybe some indoor concerts. Why not? And then, attract a minor pro hockey team. Doesn't even have to be in the affiliated leagues like the ECHL, or probably definitely wouldn't be getting an AHL team. But it could be one of the lower pro leagues. And then you could also have the University of Dayton club hockey team that plays in Kettering that nobody knows about because nobody hears about them. They could play games there. Wright State could get a team. They could both get NCAA Division I teams. They could have hockey games in that building. All of a sudden, you have a thing to do in downtown Dayton in the Water Street District in the winter. You have reasons for people to go to downtown Dayton in the winter. Can you imagine that? Probably not, because it's just inconceivable that anybody would want to do anything in the winter other than go to Dayton basketball and watch them not win the Atlantic 10 and watch them not advance in March Madness. And that would probably be the only thing standing in the way of a hockey team in Dayton, would be Dayton basketball having the monopoly over stuff to do in the winter in Dayton. Guess what? Hockey doesn't play every night. Basketball doesn't play every night. You can work around each other. It's really not that hard. And before you say, well, hockey wouldn't work in Dayton, we had it all the time. We had it all in the past, and it never worked. We had it at Harrah. We had it at Nutter. Yeah, Harrah was in Trotwood. Nutter is in Fairborn and Beaver Creek. Put it in Dayton, Ohio, the city of Dayton. Put it there, and see what happens. If you put it central, people from outside of town will go to it probably. People from inside of town will go to it probably. And if it's a sport, and if there's maybe beer there, let me tell you a little something I know about Dayton. If it's a sport and there's beer, we are on board. We are 100% on board. We are there. But nobody's willing to try it. And I want someone to try it. I really do. So, now that I've finished that impassioned rant about how we need something to do in Dayton other than, nothing, I think I'm going to go ahead and wrap this little video of me going nuts about Dayton sports with really looking forward to the next Dragon season. I want to do season tickets maybe again next season. This was my second season doing it. Looking forward to it again. As far as hockey goes, it's going to be a rough one. The Blue Jackets had their first on-ice action since Johnny Gaudreau was tragically taken from us today. I'm wearing my jersey in solidarity with them. Cyclones, looking forward to you guys getting started. Dayton hockey already started. I was supposed to play this weekend, but I think they got canceled. With that, I'm going to go ahead and cut this little video here. This has been Jake, the Gem City Fire Breather. And y'all have a good one. I might be back with the Dragons podcast over the off season. Stay tuned.